हेलो एंड वेलकम टू एवरीवन इन माय चैनल वंस अगेन। आज हम क्लास 9 का चैप्टर नंबर 1 पढ़ने जा रहे हैं, जिसका नाम है द फन दे हैड, और जिसे लिखा है द इज़ाक एसिमोव ने। नाउ ये स्टोरी एकदम इमेजिनरी स्टोरी है। अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ कि व्हाट इज़ एन इमेजिनरी स्टोरी, अगर मैं कहूँ कि अभी यहाँ बैठे बैठे आप लोग मुझे 10 मिनट, मैं आपको 10 मिनट्स देती हूँ। आई टेल यू टू मेक अ स्टोरी इन 10 minutes with your own. So can you do it? Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, because how will you do? First you will imagine that how many characters I took in my story, if it's 3 4, then what they are telling now, what type of the story will be. The story will be imaginary, okay? But after when I tell you that the story is funny story, and I tell you that this is a horror story, and this is a something romantic story, so they're the name of the story, but all three stories are an imaginary story. Okay, if it's motivational story, it's motivational. It's inspirational story, it's inspirational. It's horror, it's romance, it's anything. But the stories that you read in your books, it's all about imaginary. And same here, the story, the fun they had, is imaginary. Now how it's imaginary, let's read and let's start. Okay, so first of all, before starting the chapter, let's learn, or let's something learn about the author. And who is the author of this chapter? That is Isaac Asimov. So Isaac Asimov's January 2, 1920, April 6, 1992 was an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was known for his work of science fiction and popular science. Asimov was a prolific writer and wrote or edited more than 500 books. He also wrote an estimated 90 letters and postcards. Now, what here is that about Asimov is Isaac Asimov is an American writer, but also he is a professor of biochemistry at Boston University. And he was known for his work of science fiction and popular science. And he also write prolific and sorry as Asimov is a prolific writer and wrote or edited more than 500 books. Okay, and also he wrote or estimated 90,000 letters and postcards. Isaac Asimov has write more than 500 books or edited, and also he wrote or estimated 90,000 letters and postcards. So you can imagine, a person is also American writer, and also he is and a professor of biochemistry at Boston University. So that's all for our author. Let's start, or let's do introduction of a chapter. Okay, so here what we are learning in this chapter is that only that the story is set in the future, when books and schools are conducted digitally through virtual classrooms. Now what is that in the future, in the story, it's fully set upon the future, and in the future the students are doing their schools or doing or reading their books through it's conducted through digitally, or it's conducted through virtual classes. And also these classes are taken by mechanical teacher like robot instead of a human class teacher. Nowadays also you can imagine, or you can relate both of them, that in a present time, in the pandemic, you are doing your classes through virtual, but your books are real. Okay, the books you are reading, it's real, but in that time the classes were also virtual and the books were also virtual. So that's called a future, and that in this time the teachers are real. Okay, your teachers are real, but in that time the teachers were like a machine. You see machines now, when you give something order, then the machines work. That same here. So the what the teacher in that time, in future time, the teachers were a mechanical teacher or a robot. Okay, so next, that is, so the story starts from the two children, that name, that's Marjorie and Tommy. and they live in a world where computer dominate each and every sphere of life, and how they attend virtual classes. With onset of virtual schools, the concept of books in classroom has transformed considerably from the olden days. Now here the story is started from two children. The name is Margie and Tommy, and they both are friends. Okay, or you can say they both are neighbors, and they attended their classes through virtually. Okay, through virtually means their teachers are robots. Okay, their teachers are robots, and also in that time the all things were fully in the life they were living, the time they were living, it's full of technology. Everything was full of technology, the books, the concepts, everything was a virtual. Okay, so let's start a summary of this chapter. That's on the 17th May 2157. Margie wrote in a diary about how Tommy found a real book. Now, what happened that in future, the date is 17th May 2157. So in that time, Margie was wrote in her diary. She was writing in her diary that Tommy found a real book. So in this chapter, in this photo, you can see it's a real book. Now, why the author mentioned real book? I tell you many times that in that time they're full of virtual. They did not see a real book. Okay, and suddenly in the attic, Tommy found a real book, and he shows Margie, and suddenly Margie remembers his grandfather's what her grandfathers tell her that when he was young boy, okay, when he was a child, he wrote her schools. Okay, this stories were printed on papers. Okay, on those days the stories were printed on papers. So who remembers this? Margie remembers her grandfather once told her. Okay, and both Margie and Tommy were starting to turning the pages. And what happened when Margie and Tommy was opening the book, they see that the book was full of yellowish. The book's pages were full of yellowish, and they understand that the book is really old. Okay, and the books are really old. Her pages are yellowish. It's crinkly in the pages. There was a something line and line. So why it's happened so like this? Because when you see when you put a book several years in a room, so you can see the pages will becomes yellowish. Okay, now then they was when they was what when they was turning out the pages, they were seeing that the pages were yellowish and the pages were crinkly. Okay, so now what happened that they were very surprised to see something in the book. They surprised to see what they see, that in that book the words are not moving. So is it surprising for you when you're reading something? Okay, when you're reading something, is it surprising for you that the words are not moving? No, it's not surprising. But Margie and Tommy, when see this thing, when they notice this thing, they were surprised. Why? Because they learn or they read books through their laptop, through their machines, and the words are moving. Okay, and the words are moving. But in the book, when you written something once, it can't be changed. Okay, it can't be changed. If you write when you if you write through your pen and to your copy, so it can't be changed. It could be changed. You write your name like Sahil, anything you write your name and you want to change it. So how will you change? You can erase it. No, it's not possible. Yes. So like this, what happened, they were surprised that when they are learning through their books, the words are moving, but when they are reading these words, the words are not moving. Okay, so they were surprised to see this. Okay, now what happened from this, it is clear that in the future there will be telebooks only and no hard copies of books. Yes, it's clear that in that time there was no real book, there was telebooks. What are telebooks? The telebooks is telebooks, you can see it's a virtual books. Like that, when if you are in this time, if you don't have your books, you use the PDF. Okay, you use your PDF a same book, and you learn, okay, and you learn from this. That's called a telebooks. Now what happened that, so in that time there was no real book, there was no hard copies of books, okay, there was not hard copies of book, and they was not available on that time. There was only virtual, okay, they were learning through machines. Now Tommy exclaims that it is an utter waste to read a book and throw it away once completed. Now, what happened when Tommy suggested to Margie that when you read this book, please throw it. It's nothing. It's a waste. So now, from the Tommy's side, the book is waste, because he thought that he has many telebooks and he can read many telebooks. There's thousands and millions of telebooks in our machines or in our computer, and we don't want to learn these books. Okay, it's boring, or it's a waste. Now what happened here, that is, he feels that a television screen has a million books on it and could store up plenty more without throwing it away. So yes, I tell you now, the what the Tommy feels, or what the Tommy thoughts, that in her television screen there are million of books and could store a plenty more without throwing it away. Means in television you can store, you want, you can store many books, okay. If you read one book, you can store, you don't want to be you don't want to be throw it out, okay, you don't want to be throw it away. It will be stored in the television only. So that's what suggested by Tommy to Margie, okay. Next, soon they started reading about school during the ancient times, when the teachers were human beings rather than a mechanical teacher. Now, since they were reading the book, what they seen that in the ancient times, means in our time, means in 2021 and 2057, children, when they were living in 2057, the 2021 will be the ancient times. So what happened that in the ancient times, during the ancient times, the teachers were human beings. The teachers were like a real man, not rather than a mechanical teacher. All through, Margie hated the concept of school. She is surprised to know actual person taught at schools. So now what happened that, so also Margie was hated so much school, or so much hated the concepts of school, and when she read this, she was really surprised that how can an actual person taught at school, so how can an actual person can taught. She was surprised to hear this, or she was surprised to read it. This is because she has only seen robots teaching at her school. So now what happened that, or at school, so now what happened that, she, in that time when Margie was living in that time, she always seen robots to teaching her. She can't see her father, mother, or real teachers are coming in her home and teaching her, because he don't be allowed anyone to came in her home. He can't allow a stranger to came in her home and teach her. It's can't possible for him, yes. And moreover, she's not so fond of school that is next to her bedroom, as she does not have any classmates, and the mechanical teacher always gives her loads of homework to do. Now what's here, that is her, there was no classrooms on the future. There was no classroom, because the classroom where Margie's next to his bedroom only, and there was no classmates also. There was no classmates of Margie. But in our time, we have a big school. We have to go. Oh, we have to go a school, and we have many friends. You talk to them. You take a help with your friends. But in that time, Margie has no classmates and no schools also. Okay. Next, so Margie and Tommy study in a virtual classroom that includes electronic gadgets, robots, and extra. Their daily lessons appear on a computer screen which teaches them different subjects like math, science, and extra. Now, what happened here? That Margie and Tommy study with a virtual classroom. Virtual means digital technology. So they learn through a virtual classroom, and through what it include electronic gadgets and robots and extra. And also the daily lessons that they learn through computer screen, which teaches with them different subjects like math, science, and extra. There are many subjects that you learn in in this time, and also they learn in that time. But this learning of system, the learning part was different. Okay, the learning system was different. Now once Margie's mother called the county inspector to fix the mechanical device on which Margie attends her virtual classes. Now what happened, once Margie was there was so much of homeworks that given by what mechanical teacher to Margie, and she can't load, that's all. And the geography part, okay, and the geography parts of Margie was too fast, and that's why what happened, Margie's mother called county inspector. So what is county inspector in this chapter? So county inspector that fixes the problems of mechanical teachers or machines. So now, so once Margie's mother called county inspector to fix the mechanical teacher's device on which Margie was attend her virtual classes. He put the big black screen together again on which all the lessons are displayed, and the questioner asked. However, the little girl was disappointed about the device getting fixed so soon. Now what happened that county has a county inspector checked it, and the county inspector fixed the problem. But Margie was thoughting that Tommy was also the same problem, and his mechanical teacher was being take up to fix 3 months, and he don't want to learn and don't want to be teachers for 3 months. So she was happy, and she was thoughting that also his mechanical teacher has a problem, and she will also be take up a break. Okay, but it's not happen, and the mechanical teacher fixes very soon, and she knew that she would again need to put homeworks and test paper into it through a punch code. Now she knows that her mechanical teacher has fixes, and now onwards he will get more and more homework, and he have to be done and put it in the homework. What in the homework there was a something, you could say there was something divided part, and she has to put it her homework in the homework part. So also she hated homework part so much, but she has to be do. Okay, so next. Further, as both the children continue reading the books, Margie's mother called her to attend her classes. Now, when the what happened when county inspector fixes mechanical teacher, so after that both of them were continued reading the book, but Margie's mother called her to attend the classes. While Margie attends her school, the mechanical teacher teaches about the fraction, but Margie mind start wondering about the fun her grandparents had while visiting a school in olden days. So what happened when she was reading her book, she knew that in that time the school was so nice, the student have to go to their school and they attend the talks. There was really so much of friends. The teachers were real man and a real person. They do very very something. They do so much of so much of what musty or so much of. She was wondering that her grandparents had had while visiting a school in olden days, and wondering about her grandparents, what her grandparents do at that time, and she was thoughting that I was to be that time. Okay, now those a school used to be a special building, and all the kids of same age studied together. Yes, and the imagination how the kids from different areas in the neighborhood would come together and attend school merrily. Thus, Margie get fascinated about the school the children had century ago when they went to a real school having a physical existence. Yes, right. Yes, right. In our days, you are missing your school so much. Yes, we are doing virtual classes, and we are getting so much of bored that you sometime in your mind it's get question that even I have to go to school and enjoy, and I talk to my friends, my classmates, my teachers. It's so nice, but through this time I can't go. So sometimes it happens, and also Margie's mind was thoughting that also I was in that time and I do what my grandparents has done. Okay, so this is a thing how Isaac Asimov has differentiated the what virtual classes to what to a real classes. They are really different. In virtual classes it's nice to be in, you have to learn with your home, but after every year full whole life you are learning through your class, you through machines, it's not right. You can't do, it's really bored. But when you have friends, when you're going something elsewhere and you're learning, you have you do something, you play games, you spend some time with your friends, so your mind being fresh. Okay, and in a room you are sitting studying every day, it's your mind will be catching the studies, not the happiness, not the thing, not something good. Okay, it's not good, or it's sometime if it's good for in everybody, they have different what they have different imagination they do. And same here, imagined what Machi. So what the conclusion of the story is, this the fun they had illustrate how emerging technology is slowly taking presence over various things around us. In the near future, it wouldn't be surprising to see if human teachers are replaced by mechanical teach devices or robots. Now it's not how it's a technology are growing, that it will be capture everything. Okay, like the arctic, I am really happy that a technology are growing, but a technology are growing, that's not a thing that we are not remembering our past, we are not remembering our rituals, we are not going to our schools, we are only attending virtual classes, it's not good. Okay, so, hey, our chapter has finished, and thank you so much to see my video. Really, I'm really happy I completed this chapter. And in the next video, I will came up some MCQs that will help you in the exam. To in that time, the exams are doing MCQs or fill in the blanks, so it's helped you. So that's all for this video, and thank you. And if it's helpful, so please subscribe and bye bye.